Okay, so this is PCMag's article. It's about 2 weeks ago at the time of this recording. Game journalism layoffs. Everyone suffers without expert criticism. That's a laugh. This idea that, oh, since these journalists are being laid off, video games will suffer. No, they won't suffer. Fans, developers, and the rest of the gaming community are harmed when hostile market forces push talented writers and editors out of the industry. That may be true, but I don't know if there's a lot of talented writers and editors that are actually in the game journalism industry. You look at Kotaku or Polygon, those are some of the most hostile websites to fans, and they're supposed to be game journalism. And I'm sure they have their SJW audience, but most fans hate these sites because of the stuff that they focus on. I mean, they were pushing for the Hogwarts Legacy boycott. That's not something that actual fans and gamers cared about. And it's not one of those things where you're like, it's an important conversation to have, because they completely reframed and just outright lied about Rowling's stance. Okay, what is happening to video games journalism? I'm very fortunate to have a job that lets me regularly write about video games and enjoy healthcare. I worked hard to get here, but I'm also lucky to have this chance. So it's been absolutely demoralizing to see countless other talented video game journalists, yeah, I'm sure, lose their opportunities as wave after wave of layoffs rips through the industry, silencing veterans and denying newcomers. Yeah, we don't need new goofballs who are going to go try to write for Kotaku or Polygon or even IGN or GameSpot. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm not bothered that it is. So the writer of this piece is Jordan Miner. I've never heard of this guy before. So I don't know if he's like an asshole on Twitter or what. But I haven't heard from the brother. So even if you don't think you care about video game journalism, no, I hate when things are framed in this sort of weird fake way. Even if you don't think, no, I know I don't care about video game journalism. But anyway, even if you don't think you care about video game journalism, you should. Nah. Video games are art. Yes, that's true. And the video game community as a whole is so much poorer without a strong media that's able to champion and critique that art. No, this is not the case, because all we're going to get are people complaining about Hogwarts Legacy, not because of the game itself, but because of Rowling not pretending to believe that men can become women or women can become men or whatever. It provides no value to actual gamers. And again, you look at sites like Kotaku and Polygon and even IGN and GameSpot, like most of them, you look at a lot of these individual staff members on Twitter, they hate the gaming community. They think that pretty much most gamers are straight white reprobates, and they don't take into account anybody else who plays games that don't agree with them and their virtue signaling. So, we're constantly getting articles about, oh, Ashley, upskirt, ballistic, all this nonsense, and everything is framed in this ridiculous way that we're important and we're needed, and we're a strong media. It doesn't matter, them being a so-called strong media, that doesn't even work, because even, okay, so the reviews are for the most part worthless, even in the case of something like RE4 Remake, which, hey, I played a bunch of times. I don't hate the game. I'd have a lot of problems with it. I think it's, the modern audience choices, technical issues like Leon's movements, unbalanced difficulty, a lot of this stuff is, all that's a problem. The modern audience stuff is the worst because video game journalists have been pushing for this shit. And so we suffer when you just have to compare the original game's cutscenes to the new game's cutscenes. I did a whole video about the lack of personality. Crobecat did a video where it's like soul versus soulless, which is a big controversial thing that I might do in another video, because he really pissed me off for a while when he changed the title after the pushback he got. But anyway, they don't give gamers, they don't provide gamers with what gamers actually care about. Yet they act like they're so important to the industry. They don't have, if you don't have an audience, why do you matter? And it's not like, oh, well, more people would get something out of, like, say, art house films. They're so small, but if you watched it, you get something out of it. It's not even like that, because even when with gaming journalism, if it came to something like, I don't know, Jason Schreier talking about crunch or something, the game journalism and the gaming media doesn't really care about crunch like that. They'll make articles about it, but when something like The Last of Us 2 comes out and it's about, trans boys and, ugly women that defeat the male gaze, they'll give Naughty Dog, or they gave Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann all the awards. They gave him Best Director, even though he was the head of the crunch that sent so many people packing and leaving Naughty Dog. Yet they still rewarded him for it. So the game journalism didn't even matter. You know, the hard-hitting reports about the people leaving, talking about the crunch and talking about the toxic environment working there, or at least as far as the work goes, it didn't even matter. I mean, people reported on it, but the gaming press still, like I said, they just gave them all the #1 awards. And even if they said, well, the game itself deserved that from a technical standpoint, so we were rewarding, you know, the staff, you didn't have to give Neil Druckmann all those fucking director awards, because he's the one who presided over that. What is happening to video games journalism? You could say this is a bit inside baseball, and honestly, I wish it was. But the current layoff nightmare is by no means exclusive to folks who write about video games. PCMag covers tech news, so that means we've written about thousands of people losing their jobs at Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Twitter. These massive corporations sucked up so much cash, especially during the height of the pandemic, and yet have no choice but to put an unconscionable number of employees out of work as they get ahead of the recession. But video games are what I care about and what I follow, which means paying attention to my peers in this space. It also means seeing a soul-crushing succession of news stories detailing the latest publication that suddenly decides to scale back. In the past few months, we've seen layoffs at Fanbyte, GameSpot, Gamer Group, Giant Bomb, Vox Media, The Washington Post, and other outlets. Sometimes only a few people will let go. Sometimes entire websites cease to exist. But no matter the layoff scale or the amount of attention it received, at least one person lost their job and suffered the potentially life-threatening consequences that follow. That sucks and all, but I really don't care about these game journalists. Like, they've created this hostile environment where gamer is a slur, where they've decided that all gamers are just straight white men who hate women because they like attractive women. You know, that if you complain about any of the stupid changes that they make, or this idea that everything has to be from modern audiences, which just means them and Twitter, then you're a terrible person. Even if you're, you know, black and say, hey, I don't like this either, they just put you in as someone who's, you know, speaking out against his own interests. Like that guy who was going nuts on January 6th, the black guy who was swinging that goddamn pole. And well, anyway, I'm not going to get to that because I'll be here all day talking about that guy. But anyway, they made their bed, they lie in it. Like, at this point, like I said, I really don't care. I know it's this thing we're supposed to care about people who lost their jobs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it does suck. But these people are not adding value to gamers' lives. They're not providing expert criticism. You know, for the most part, they're complaining about jiggle physics, stuff like that. Like that, again, none of these things gamers care about. But we're constantly beat over the head with it from these people. So yeah, fuck them. They can lose their jobs. I don't care. Left behind. These fatal wounds to video game journalism don't just hurt these writers and editors. They hurt games and they hurt readers and viewers and listeners who care about games. No, they don't. We're rapidly losing our smartest voices. No, we're not. And it's killing our ability to regularly have the intelligent and meaningful conversation to help games and players grow. This is this idea that they really think that they're teaching people a lesson when, you know, they talk about, oh, it's misogynistic for people to complain about the ballistics line being taken out. Like, there's no understanding about art or a personality or a character. Louis, if he was misogynist, just say he was misogynist. He wasn't, but just say he was being misogynist. That's the character. Removing a misogynistic character from a story doesn't make people grow. The story had a misogynistic character, so what? So, like, everything they see is propaganda. So all they care about is, oh, gamers are just going to think it's okay to act like Louis. You know, so it's just no different than, you know, the right, when conservatives were complaining about video games being the reason, you know, why, you know, teen violence was on the rise or whatever, you know. So, and it's just so, like, the hubris of it to be like the smartest voices of these stupid ass gaming journalists who can't actually play video games. And like I said, all they care about is, oh, Joel was a monster because he stopped humanity from getting a cure. And there's like no deeper look into it. Like, for me, if I'm reading a review of a video game, it's after I've played the game, and it's just kind of just to see what other people are saying. But mostly, the only people I really take serious when it comes to talking about video games. It's the YouTubers, you know, and only serious in the sense that I believe, for the most part, whoever I'm listening to, where they're coming from. You know, unless they think they're a shill or something. But all right, so what did I say? Compensation to help gamers and players grow. When they mean by this, they don't mean like expanding the art. Again, they just mean Ashley shouldn't have a skirt. She should have squirts, because guys looking up a fictional character's skirt will go out into the real world and harm women. So that doesn't help anybody grow. When we build up game media, we draw more attention to small projects that deserve more love. No, they don't. Like, I never hear anything about small projects. I always hear stuff like RE4, to me, the remake, should not have gotten so many 10s. And again, this it's not just, I mean, it's a personal opinion, but I see a lot of people who actually play the game. You know, not somebody who's just effusive about it, like Spear Hunter. And I have no problem with Spear Hunter liking the game or loving the game or whatever. But it's like, when you actually look at the game and you play it and you look at the difference between the original and what they did in the remake, they streamlined the story, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense. I'm going to do a video about one of them. But let's see. So this idea that they're talking about, we openly criticize big projects that deserve more scorn. The only time they do that is if, again, they have jiggle physics or something. We step back and examine a game's bigger potential role in society. Nobody needs this. Nobody cares about this. That's fucking insane. And they're talking about Hogwarts Legacy. We speak to hardcore enthusiasts as well as the curious mainstream. We aren't force-fed corporate marketing points for fanboy misinformation. This article is fucking ridiculous. This guy's head is so far up his ass is ridiculous. I would be embarrassed to write something like this. If you have any sense of your actual audience of gamers, you know writing like this must be done for hate clicks. So anyway, we aren't force-fed corporate marketing points or fanboy misinformation. Why throw that all the way? Fuck off. In a way, this crisis mirrors the ongoing video game preservation crisis. No, it doesn't. I don't care. Like, I'm interested in video game preservation, but I don't care about video game journalism at all. Like, at all. It's a similar gross disrespect for history and the value of institutional knowledge. Again, this is you really blowing smoke up your own ass. It's ridiculous. We need to honor the past to move forward into the future. Just as we can't keep erasing old games, we also can't keep preventing writers from having lengthy careers covering games. I don't give a shit about these fucking writers. We can't keep preventing them from gaining this perspective and communicating the wisdom that such a long career would provide. God, this guy. I was like trying to be easy with the brother because, you know, I'm seeing my, brother up there and I'm like, yeah, let's see what you got to say, my nigga. But nah, this is bullshit. There will always be people so passionate about video games that they'll want to share those thoughts with the world, even if they have to be exploited to do so. But those people deserve job security. They deserve a healthy and stable labor landscape that recognizes them as human beings with careers that need fostering. Fuck off. See, the problem with this is there's this idea that these people are just these virtuous saints and angels, and you're not actually taking into account what they're fucking doing to people as these writers. Like, they spend their time constantly, so many of them, attacking gamers, attacking the culture. Like, anytime, like, literally, I keep bringing up the Ashley Ballistics line because it's like, because Luis made the Ashley Ballistics line comment, the Ashley Ballistics comment, not the Ashley Ballistics line, and since he said that line, it's like it's gamers' fault that he ever did it. Like, gamers are blamed for it. And when a gamer says, why did they change that line? It was funny, or it wasn't a big deal. Then gamers are attacked for being misogynists. Like, this games media has created this idea that all gamers are just these hateful, misogynistic trolls, and that they don't care about video games. They're just fanboys. All right. So anyway, what did he say? But it's okay. But they deserve a healthy and stable labor landscape that recognizes them as human beings with the careers that need fostering. Right. Okay. I said that part. They're not just AI that happens to be made of meat. Companies should do right by their employees, or audiences or unions should force them to. Here we go. Otherwise, things will just get worse. We've already seen a growing chorus of former games journalists discouraging aspiring writers from entering the field, saying things like, just treat it like a hobby instead. We can't all strike gold as Twitch streamers. Video games need video game journalism. No, it doesn't. This is a gigantic bummer because a better world is possible. Yeah, without video game journalists. a vibrant and talkative games community that flourishes free from capitalism's most crushing restraints. So it's like he doesn't even know who his audience is. When you get a glimpse of it, it's beautiful. I saw it at the most recent New York Video Games Awards, where thoughtful writers from across all publications came together to discuss and celebrate gaming's best. And I also hope you'll see it in my upcoming book, Video Game of the Year. Nah, I'm not interested. The way he writes, I'm not interested. Where dozens of outstanding writers contribute their own arguments for the best games of all times. Video games are a hugely popular and profitable industry. Millions of people play games. Millions of people play games and care about video game coverage. Now, I agree with the first part. The second part, as far as video game coverage, most people just want to know about leaks or like information about upcoming games and stuff, and maybe see some screenshots or early footage. Don't really need video game journalists to tell us what to think about them or whatever. Letting video game journalism slip away isn't just a tremendous loss, it's nonsensical. To everyone who lost their jobs, best of luck. I'm sorry we failed you. I mean, y'all failed yourselves. You know, this, like, again, you've created this environment where gamers don't give a shit if you're there or not. People go to see reviews just to see what people have to say. And that's a dumb thing about a lot of gamers, where you're just looking for confirmation bias. So if you look at a big hype game is coming out, like RE from a Remake, and if it doesn't get a 10, you get pissed off. Or if it doesn't get a 10, you're like, yeah, I didn't want it to get a 10. I'm glad it didn't get a 10. You know, so it's not even about, for these people, they're just looking for the score just to see what somebody had said. They're not actually looking for their minds to be expanded by the wisdom of the writer or whatever. They just want to know what somebody had to say about it. But you can get more valuable information about games, again, from a lot of YouTubers who cover games and who review them. All right, so this is funny, and it's not a surprise. Was this article helpful? No, it wasn't. Let me see. I gave it a no too. I just read it, so that's a no from me. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah, it's a couple of. No, actually, I would say it's a couple. There's a few comments here. Yeah, good riddance. May this great purge seep into all the forms of media from this point going forward. You got a lot of likes. This is banal and beyond pathetic. Everyone suffers. That's in quotes. Everyone will be liberated from having politics forcefully injected in their daily escape from such stupid and neurotic things. Guess what? Everyone loves Hogwarts Legacy. The fact that your kind has fought so hard against that is why you're now losing your jobs. You have revealed not only how useless you are, but how harmful you can potentially be to actual profits. Good riddance. Expert gatekeepers lament the loss of their ivory towers. How will the masses know which game to like without us? Headline generated with a chat GPT. Man, this is just, it's hilarious. Like, of course, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm too stupid to know what games I like without a professional telling me what games I like. Maybe you could have been a little more on the nose and titled the article, "Boss, please don't fire me. My mom says I'm talented." So yeah, this is a dumb article. I tried to give a brother benefit of the doubt, but nah, this is trash.